All right, Gina. So I got inspired after this amazing rally we just went to in Shelby.
It was amazing.
We were parked right there by the Earl Scruggs Center, the museum. So I decided to get my banjo out, dusted it off.
Whoa.
Got a piece
Where
I
has
wrote
that been in our Airstream?
Don't worry about it. It's just been in a cool little banjo storage spot. But I got this piece I wrote you. I want to just pick it real quick.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So you want to hear it?
No.
All right, real
yes,
quick.
I do. I want to hear. Sorry, folks, but here we go.
Here we go. A 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, how'd you like that?
Well, you're no Earl Scruggs, baby, but it'll do. Listen up. It's The Riveted with Chris and Gina. It has been a very fun-filled weekend, very busy for us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
our first time in Shelby.
This was over the top. So, listener, here's the thing. We are sitting in Shelby, North Carolina, within eyesight of the Earl Scruggs Center, beautiful downtown Court Square in beautiful town of North Carolina. And we've enjoyed 3 amazing days of Airstreaming fun with our friends.
Meeting new friends.
Fellow Airstreamers. And it is Saturday night. There have been a few libations enjoyed.
Just a little bit, not
just
much.
A few.
We are parked on Lafayette Street. There are cars driving by. The lights are in the trees.
Yes.
We have an amazing, beautiful night. And
we have sparkly lights in the trees.
We do.
Yes.
And we, in our Airstream and our podcast recording studio, we have got the gentleman and his lovely wife and his amazing daughter that have put this rally on.
Yes, we do.
And it's about damn time. We're like,
we've been begging for them for months.
We're like,
months.
come on the podcast, come on the podcast.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. And we finally got them. And here's why. Right here, right now, we're just enjoying the final night of an amazing Airstream rally. And we want to just chat with the folks that put forth all the effort to
introduce them already.
To make it happen. Oh, is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yes, get to it.
Yeah. So right now, he's the first VP of the Carolinas Airstream Club, which is this year celebrating its 65th anniversary.
Yes.
And he is a native of Shelby, North Carolina. So let us introduce Roger Holland, his wife Robin, and his amazing daughter Winnie. And welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina, you guys.
Thank you. We're glad to be here and glad you're in Shelby, North Carolina.
Thanks for having us.
We're thrilled to be here.
I'm glad you are.
This is the first time that we have had family members like this in our camper for the podcast.
I agree.
Yes.
And I think it's awesome because
you're in for a treat tonight, listener.
Yeah, we enjoy these evening recordings because they're, visually, if we were doing a video podcast, it would be one of those deals where you get to see this cool, chill evening. We got some cool lighting. We're just kicked back on the couch and having a good conversation. But outside, there's about 30 Airstreams all parked around the court square, beautiful lights, everybody's mingling. And we just wanted to have a quick chat with the folks that pulled this event off. So thank you for giving us a little bit of time and coming on our podcast. So we always like to start with asking, because this is a podcast about how did your life change by adding an Airstream to it?
Correct.
And so start with that. So either one of you, just chat, tell us like where you were in life when you said, hey, I think I want to get an Airstream. And then what happened from there?
Yeah, that brought you to tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
But before they start, wait. Before they start, this is something Mom has had in her arsenal since she was probably 8 years old.
Wow.
Always said her dream, her goal was to get a Bambi and have an Airstream. So
Wow.
it's been years.
It was a secret idea.
So
It wasn't too much of a
It wasn't a
secret.
secret. I always loved to camp and had grown up camping. And so did Roger. Roger had grown up camping. So camping was, and nature, it was important to us and just a joy. But and we did it all. We had tents, we had pop-ups, back to tents, back to pop-ups, but always in the back of my mind. And then
her end game was an
was
Airstream.
someday have an Airstream. A little one. I wanted a little 1967 Airstream Bambi, the smallest they gave.
So we started when we camped. As Robin said before, we started having children. We camped. And then we had children. We realized it'd be a little easier if we were off the ground a bit. That's,
But we started off tent camping.
I know we started off tent camping, but then we went and got a pop up, and we took our 3 daughters all over the country
And Canada.
Literally.
in that
Literally.
pop up, and loved every minute of it. The whole time, every time we saw an Airstream, I'd have to fan Robin to keep her from feeling faint, because she coveted every Airstream we saw, and I learned to do the same thing. And then once the girls were all out of the house and in school or started their own life, somebody got online and started researching Airstreams, and Robin actually found 2012 a 19-foot Airstream International
Bambi, because it was
a Bambi.
single
Any
axle.
single axle Airstream is considered a Bambi, but it was a 2012 International near Chapel Hill and that vicinity. So we made some contacts and ended up buying our very first Airstream in 2015 from a gentleman in outside of Chapel Hill, which was the 19-footer.
Mm-hmm.
And we loved every minute of it, with absolutely no intention to ever camp or go to an Airstream rally, which we never even knew existed at the time. But we did join the WBCCI at the time, Airstream Club International now, and I was still working full time, and so we used it quite a bit. And
But we only, as far as being a club member, I enjoyed getting the Blue Beret, which is their publication, and reading about everybody's trips and the history, and dreaming of when we would have more time to go further afield. But we never looked into a local club, never even thought about it, because all our lives we enjoyed just being in nature, hiking, reading, relaxing, just that kind of thing.
And then finally, about 2018 or thereabouts, we saw there was an event in Marion, North Carolina, which is only about 50 minutes from Shelby. And we thought, well, why not see what this is about when more than one Airstream goes camping? And we got there a little bit late. Initial impression was,
Wait a minute. The initial impression for me, who has loved Airstreams forever and ever and ever, it was you crested a hill and then looked down into that field.
saw almost 300 Airstreams.
And I don't know if I should admit this because it sounds unbelievably strange, but I looked down in there and saw all those Airstreams and literally had tears in my eyes.
Yes, I understand.
But, well, it came on me. It was just bizarre. I was surprised I had that reaction. But then, fast forward to what Roger was starting to tell you.
Well, and then we got there late, so we were late getting there, and the initial reception was not quite what we had expected, and we weren't really overwhelmed at first, and we couldn't even find a place where anybody would let us sit and eat with them. So we went to go. The only place left was a little stage area, and we got our plates, and we were sitting on that stage eating off our laps, and there's this big old tall guy standing up on stage with a beard and a beret on, and he looked down and he said, "What are y'all doing?" And I said, "Well, we couldn't find a place to seat." Make a long story short, within several minutes, the guy who started the whole thing, John Leake, had sat down with us and made us feel like we were the most welcome people in the entire event and changed our whole perception of what that was like. And we ended up finding making friends. And after that, we realized and we began to realize how special the Airstream community was. Moving on, about a day later there, we ran into a gentleman, another guy with one of those little weird berets on his head. And he started talking to us, very, very nice. And he mentioned the Carolinas Airstream Club. And he said, there's a lot of nice people in there. He said, you may want to go visit with some of them. They're having a bonfire, and go talk to them and see what you think. It happened to be Jim Koch, who was at that time the immediate past president of the Airstream Club International. So the whole big deal. He was the big guy, and he had just finished his year as president. And he was the one who was being so extremely friendly to us, inviting us to visit Carolinas. We went there. We saw a variety of people, and we realized that this was a really, really neat, cool group of people. Fast forward, we found the group that really fit our idea of what, if you were going to camp with the group, would be. Still maybe not convinced that this was something we wanted to do an awful lot of. But then the more we went to things, the more we realized that when we bought our Airstream, we didn't just buy an Airstream we pulled behind us. We inherited a family of like-minded individuals who supported us and would be there to help us in any way possible if we needed assistance, as would we with anybody else in the Airstream Club. So we realized the real nature of the Airstream was just as much about the community of Airstream people as it was about these big silver things that we pulled behind us.
That's well said.
That's a hell of an entry point.
Yeah, it is.
Well, but I would say that it was a good one.
Yes.
Wouldn't you? I mean, think about it. Like, just you dive in, and one of the first places you go is one of the best events that's held in the country.
300 rigs.
Absolutely. And it just sets an impression. And I'm sure that has carried forward over all these years. But the thing about us is, about the time you were coming into the club, Gina and I were starting our full-time journey, and we were not participating in the club as much. We joined in 2017, and we went to a couple Carolinas rallies. We went to a Region 3 rally held at the same place Illumilana was, and then shortly after that, we hit the road full-time and started spending a bunch of time in other parts of the country, and so we kind of unplugged from the Carolinas Airstream Club.
Well, that's not true. No, we didn't unplug from them. We just didn't start going to rallies. We were still paying attention to what was going on.
We were still plugged into the club. We just weren't attending a lot of events.
Correct. Yeah.
And
so we miss seeing these guys.
Yeah, for sure. But that's exciting. It's neat, I think, that you had, especially for you, Robin, you had this, I guess I would call it a life goal in a way, but like you just had this master plan.
Well, she had a vision as a young person.
Yeah.
She had a vision of something that she wanted, and she brought it to her.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. That's good. And Robin, Roger, do you feel like you had been manipulated in any way with that, or was that like?
Oh, I've been manipulated in a lot of ways, but I don't think the Airstream was one of them.
That's good. That's good.
I fell in love.
No twisting involved.
No. It was not a hard sell for me. I mean, I loved it. Of course, I love camping, and as fortunately our three daughters grew up camping, and all three still love going camping, which leads into a little bit farther down the road in this discussion. But it was interesting, the journey we took after that first meeting. We became a little bit more involved in the Carolinas Airstream Club. In the meantime, we had gone to John Leake's Silver in the City in York.
The urban rally.
Urban rally a couple of times. And when we went there, I couldn't help but think of our own small towns, downtown area, which we call Uptown, and there's another story behind that. But we thought wouldn't this be cool if we could do something like that here? So the first call was to John Leake and his companion, Terry Montgomery, who helped him with all the rallies in York, to see if they would look at it and give us their guidance, which they did. They came up and spent a day one Saturday with us to look at our situation, and they helped us develop this idea for an urban rally in Shelby, where we're sitting right now.
But you'd been to some events and you're part of the club, but
No,
Well, no,
we were not part of the club.
No, we were a part of the club, but I think where you may be headed, which was where I was headed, was
Oh, yes.
once we finally got this thing planned and everything, we had to postpone it 1 year because of COVID. We finally had it in 2021, and we realized after the fact that the first one we did in Shelby in 2021 was the very first Carolinas Airstream Club rally we had ever attended.
Oh, wow.
And we put it on.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
that is kind of where I was headed, but I wanted to hear the backstory about that and the fact that you had your Airstream, you loved the brand already, you had you had been in a couple events, but then the passion of your hometown plus the passion that you already had with Airstream, you were already diving in head first with starting to do some amazing things before you even did the first rally.
Well, yeah, and that was out of probably.
I never knew that was y'all's first rally.
Yeah, that was probably ignorance, but maybe lucky ignorance that we did that. But I had read some stories about the origin of the urban rallies
In the publication from the
from the Blue Beret,
yes.
about where some of the Midwestern cities that were drying up because of strip centers and malls, group decided to try to bring some economic vitality to these small cities by bringing in Airstreams. And people,
this is great for the community.
Yeah, that was the whole purpose, is to build up a community. Those people who come here are sort of stuck, so they had to spend their money to eat and to shop in that community for a weekend, and it brings people in to see them, and they likewise spend their money. And
Plus, excuse me for interrupting, but there is a open house usually always associated with urban rallies to let the public, because there are a lot of people like I was that have always, I would walk around campgrounds and just hoping the door would be open so I could peep in, and never had the opportunity to really go inside one because there's not even that many dealers that you could go visit that had them, just only in the big cities. So with that, and then if I had had an opportunity, even as a 20-year-old, much less a 10-year-old, to go in and see them, but that's part of what happens with these urban rallies. There are open houses on the Saturday for just a few hours where the public is invited to go in. You don't have to do it as a Airstream owner if you don't wish, if that's something that it's just not what you want to do. You just don't open your door.
So you know what I'm hearing, don't you? Is the fact that we did this exact same thing today. Everyone here opened up their doors, allowed the community to come in and view their Airstream, ask them questions and all of this. So what I'm hearing is that all of us could have impressed some 10-year-old child today who's going to grow up with the same passion that Robin has had for many, many years to be sitting in an Airstream, 20 years from now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Which leads us to Winnie.
Yes. Which is what their daughter's doing.
So what caused you to say, let's do an urban rally in Shelby versus let's just be a volunteer host at the campground down the road in Shelby for a campground? Like
the love of our community.
And I've been involved in, when we moved back to Shelby after we got out of college, 1979.
Dad's passion for Shelby is very voracious.
Yeah.
He loves this town. He loves this community.
And
he's proud of it. And
it's always been that even he wanted his children, our children, to go and succeed and explore wherever they wanted to. We would be delighted if they wanted to move back, but
Yeah.
But hoped that they would want to come back and visit and be proud of where they grew up.
Right.
So,
I'm the youngest daughter, and I always said I was the troublemaker, too.
you were not.
Oh, I was.
Spitfire.
And I
Still
was-
is, it sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah. And I always said I will never move back to Shelby. I'll never come because I just wanted to explore. And after I went to NC State, lived there, and after a few years, I was like, I got to move back home.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, Shelby's a great place. It's great.
It is
town.
a great place.
It's very progressive. It's growing. It's close to a lot. So
Yeah, and that was the motivation because when we moved back in '79, nobody my age was coming back to Shelby who grew up here.
Very
They were
few.
finding somewhere else. The city was not in great shape, and I was concerned for the very reason that Robin and Winnie said that, you raise a family, you don't want to lose them. You would love it if they would come back. And that's when Shelby was selected as one of the first national Main Street cities in the United States. There are a handful throughout the country, and I think Shelby was one of about one or two in North Carolina, and became involved in that association. So as we were interviewed several years back by one of the North Carolina PBS stations about the involvement of Shelby, and they were talking to me, wanting to know, well, how did Shelby transform in the last couple of years? And as I told them, the success of Shelby was a 40-year overnight success story.
40 years.
It was that it happened in a short period of time. Realistically, there were a group of us who started working on making this a special place and revitalizing it starting back in 1980.
Yeah.
And with the addition of the Earl Scruggs Center and the Don Gibson Theater, which are all part of an umbrella organization called Destination Cleveland County, it gave us a little bit more of a focus for what the city could do and what they could become.
Yeah.
But all that translated into, if I was going to do something really cool for our town and get involved in the Airstreams, this was a perfect fit. It fit what I felt like our city would appreciate and what would like. And so far, fortunately, that's proven to be true.
Yeah.
And this was the fourth one we did this year, and hopefully it will continue.
Yeah. Well, I was about to ask you whether this was the fourth or the fifth.
It's the fourth, he said.
I know that Gina and I have been on the waiting list for 2 years, and we didn't get a spot each time.
Yeah, we just can't get in.
We had to book this one about 7 months ago in order to get in.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, after the first one, it was fairly successful, and so subsequently, we can only fit at least the maximum of 30 here. Usually, after a week or two, once it hits the website, it fills up, and then the wait list populates rather quickly too. We skipped last year because our neighboring city of Tryon, North Carolina, had come up the first year and learned what we were doing, and they wanted to do one there. So we worked with them to try to make sure theirs worked, and we were going to alternate. So they did it last year. We were going to do it this year, and I'm not sure if it'll happen again in Tryon, but we'll see. We don't want to overwhelm a community.
We heard back in November that one of the main reasons why you were ready to do it again this year was because your daughter volunteered to help. Tell us about that part of it, like from a family perspective of what happened in your Airstream life that she has come into the fold. Like, tell us that story. Either one of you, just
let me just start briefly, and then they can fill in. We made the terrible mistake of going to the Region 3 rally in Virginia, where they had new Airstreams on display.
Oh,
it was the best decision.
And I spent quite a bit of time in the new trade wind that they had on display, and I got sort of smitten with the trade wind.
And then Mom called me.
Not for size. Excuse me for interrupting. It was all the gadgets and gadgets.
Yeah.
Gizmos.
That was like the ultimate gadget.
Yes.
And Roger's a gadget man.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd call.
So Mom called me and she's
I
like,
said, he's gone in that
he's
thing
looking at this thing.
for the third time.
Yeah. And I was like, you think he'll get it? She's like, I don't think so. And I immediately
We love our
hung up
little
with-
guy.
hung up with Mom, and I immediately called Dad, and I was like,
She said, he's going to get it.
I was like, Dad,
know he's gonna
so
get it.
no, if you get it, we will buy your old one.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
She wanted, what'd you call it, first rights? Or what do you call it?
First
I said, I
dibs.
want dibs on it.
Here we are in Virginia, and I started looking at this thing, and before I knew it, I'm getting a phone call from Winnie back here in Shelby.
He didn't even know that I knew that he was looking. I talked to Mom, and she
Dad,
told me.
If
so-
you get that Airstream, we want to buy your old one. Here we were in a 19-footer.
Yeah.
This is a 25-footer, so it was quite a big change.
quite an upgrade.
And then I started worrying about tow vehicles and seeing if I was going to have to get a new tow vehicle, all that kind of stuff. Well, within a day or so, I pretty much, as long as Robin didn't have any real problem with it.
And I sort of did because I
That
love
was her
baby.
baby.
I love
Yeah.
baby.
That was her baby.
And the name of the one that she has that we had named it, the registered name is Robin's Nest.
Ross named her.
Yeah, our
Oh.
good friend
Good
Ross.
friend
that
Ross
we
Gary
camped with.
here in our
Yeah.
club suggested, and it stuck. So it has a little medallion that says Robin's Nest
Yes.
on it.
Yeah.
And when Winnie, and I'm sort of jumping, but when Winnie and Nathan decided to purchase ours, now that had happened, I said, "Oh, Winnie, we had just put our medallion on for the name Robin's Nest, so I'll get a hairdryer and try to loosen the glue and get that off so you can name her." And you said, remember what you said?
No. I said it'll always be Robinson.
She said, "No, it's an honor, something like that.
That's
It's an honor
amazing.
for it to have that name. I'm not going to take it off."
Oh, that's
Touch
sweet.
this mama's heart.
Oh,
So
yes.
it remains Robin's
Robin's
Nest.
Nest.
That's
Yes.
great.
But and we got ours, and well, before we made it back to Shelby, we had ordered our new trade wind before we even made it back
From
home.
Region 3.
Yeah.
From the Region 3 rally, yeah. And so when it was all official, Winnie, one of the first things she said, "Are you going to do the Shining in Shelby?" And I'd already decided, because of responsibilities with the club leadership part, I really just didn't have the time. I was worried about trying to get it done. So I said, well, no, I really didn't think I was going to do it this year. And that was not the right thing to say. She said, "Oh, you got to. I'll help. I'll be the co-host." And I realized,
I haven't done much.
yes, you have.
Yeah.
But for me, it was more important to do it if she wanted to that bad. I knew I had everything sort of in line.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that is really, really cool. So we were going to make it happen.
That's
So
right.
that's when we decided to do it again for this year.
That's
It was
great.
in like March or April of last year.
Yeah.
And got all the kinks worked out, and here we are.
So Winnie, is this your first official event, or have you been to other rallies since you've gotten the 19-foot?
One other one.
One other one?
Boone.
Yeah, you went to Boone. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was the Boone KOA
Yeah.
Yeah.
last
Well,
year.
and we were the host, and so
Were y'all hosting?
yeah, that was
we were.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, yes, we
Mhm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's they came up there, and
So we did that one.
yeah, but they working full time. They don't
Yeah.
have the flexibility that we have to travel
Yeah.
quite as much.
Yeah.
But we were thrilled that Winnie wanted us to do this again because it got us motivated to make it happen.
And I have a question. We hadn't had time to even talk too much. I mean, we talk all the time.
all the time.
Mhm.
But I haven't even asked Winnie, what are your first impressions? Just, I know it's still going on, but
Me?
yes, what are your impressions of an urban rally and a rally in general? Has it been a good experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you felt like you've gained a feeling of what she used to call a cult?
Yes.
Do you understand at all the cultness of it now? And
Yeah,
what
I mean, it's definitely community. Like,
Right.
definitely. So, I mean, especially here where it's like an urban rally.
Mhm.
So where you know, there's people everywhere. So you walk around and,
do you feel like you've made friends?
oh yeah, I flocked some people.
Yeah. I mean,
Now explain.
And then we call it flocked them.
Yeah, y'all know
all
what she-
flocked.
Yes. Yes.
All the
but
flamingo
explain it to our listeners if you
So
will.
flocking is when you flamingo people.
Yes.
You'll drop a little flamingo themed item by the door, in their Airstream, in the grass.
Yeah.
Wherever. So
I've had a lot of people ask me what the deal with flamingos.
I don't understand.
There's not a real
What's the
definitive
deal?
answer. They just sort of got associated with them. The best analogy I can come up with has been all these Jeeps that have little ducks lined up in their windshield.
Yes.
The flamingos are to Airstreams as the little ducks are to Jeeps.
Do you know where it started?
I've read
Do you
different
know?
things.
No, it's been around for a long
Yeah,
time.
been around for a long time. Yeah.
I always thought it was because people would winter in their trailers in Florida.
I
think
think
it
got from
came
Florida. I think you're right.
in my own mind. It does. I don't know if I read it.
Read
or
that.
Thought of
People in
that.
Florida.
I like
started
that
doing
idea.
that.
I like
Yeah.
that
Let's
thought.
go with that one.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Listener, if you know anything different, let us know.
Yeah, let
but
us know.
let's go with Florida.
well, the thing I'd like to kind of expand on what Winnie said about like the community or the collective. I mean, the majority of the people here, right, Roger, are Carolinas Airstream Club members. There are some people that are from other clubs, but the majority are from the Carolinas Airstream.
The majority are. There's
Mhm.
probably about 3-4 that are from Georgia or Tennessee or South Carolina. Yeah.
But like the family aspect, the community aspect of this, a lot of that is because we're all part of the same club.
Mm-hmm.
But I could guarantee you that if an event like this were sitting in some other town and Airstreamers from all over the country came to that location for this same kind of event, that same kind of community would still community experience would still be there.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you're part of the same local club
It's internationally, it's not
absolutely
just local.
it's the connection of the brand within the humans that own them that causes that.
It's the pride. They all have
Yes.
pride.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that I don't think can be matched anywhere.
Yep.
Not in RVing.
I agree. I've had that conversation with people, and I tell folks who don't quite understand why you together with all these people. I've told them, I said, I have no doubt that if we were traveling anywhere out west or whatever, and we had an issue and we found another Airstream, they would stop what they were doing and help in any way they could, or call somebody they knew to give us the assistance that we need.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for just a minute, because tonight at our wonderful dinner that you guys provided for us,
Man, that
thank
was
you
awesome.
very, very much. That was amazing.
We got to talk about that later.
Yes, but at that dinner, at the end of the evening, we had a new couple, new members join the club. And so what happened there? We did a Wally's Creed, right? And the expectations that we as a club, what they could expect from us, but what we also can expect them to do moving forward, right? And we just keep carrying that on. And that's part of this whole community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
A good part of the community to me, that is very heartening. It very makes you feel good. Is that the world that today is like picky. We want to pick fights. We want to take sides. We want to sometimes, I don't know, get our own way or be mouthy about what we feel. But in this, when you're together with these people in a rally like this, you don't worry about any of those types of issues that might come up and be sort of like hot button topics. You just are being with people who love the sounds hokey, but the streaming life, or you have so much more in common, and you realize it in this situation that those other things don't even come up because you're just happy being happy.
And well, no,
just be happy.
You are, but I think, and this comes from previous conversations we've had with others on this podcast, it's just grown and grown and grown in the fact that the history of this brand is powerful, and it causes people, regardless of their personal opinions about some other things like you're talking about, to to not think about it because there's other important things to bond over.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come together in an event like this, and we're all literally camping on the streets, we're not in a protected, 20 by 50 campsite in a campground. We are in a urban environment, cars going by. However, a beautiful setting here in downtown Shelby. It's
Uptown.
Oh, excuse me, Uptown Shelby. My bad. Uptown Shelby. It is. It's just we're all collectively doing the same thing, and there's some energy around that everybody picks up on.
Yeah.
And that is what feeds Gina and I, and I hope that it feeds others. And if anybody's listening to this podcast that has not experienced something like that yet, seek it out, because it will cause...
It's powerful.
It will cause you to realize that having purchased an Airstream and adding it to your life, you'll start getting more and more and more amazing experiences that come from it.
I'm the one on the podcast between Chris and I that likes really juicy details. And Winnie has really been kind of quiet over there. She's speaking up a little bit, but I'm sure she's got some good stories she can tell us. So come on, Winnie, give us some juicy details about your parents, Airstreaming, something. You've got to have something.
I don't think I do.
Oh,
Yes,
come on. Yes, you do. Look at your mom knows you do.
I mean, I don't have a juicy Airstream story,
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Tell us.
but I have a juicy, no pun intended, camping story.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good.
Tell us.
We'll take
It's
that.
about me. I know it.
It's
We'll take
about
that.
death.
Oh,
That's even better. That's even better. Please tell. Please
No.
tell. Come on. Do
Oh,
it to it.
surely you're not going to go there.
Oh, go there.
Where else? Oh no!
Oh,
Our podcast has an explicit rating on Apple,
Yeah,
so
so
we're
go
fine.
for
Go
it.
ahead.
No, you gotta go.
Oh,
Okay.
You're not talking about when we were in a tent.
oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Tell
No,
it.
No.
I don't tell it. He
No.
tells it.
Oh,
I'm not going to go to the details of this one. I don't care what rating you have on the podcast.
Okay.
But it has to do with the gastric issue. While tent camping down in South Carolina
Yeah.
Sorry, they asked for juicy. That is literally juicy.
with one light in the entire campground, which was on the bathhouse, which happened
This
to
was
be.
when we were all babies. Not
Okay.
babies, but little.
We were in a
Little.
tent,
I mean, I did remember.
Yeah, in a
But I was a toddler.
pitch black night.
What campground was it?
Caesar's Head or no?
It was near Caesar's
down
South Carolina.
Oh, that's
Highway
nice.
11,
Mm.
and
He woke up and
one
had to go.
small
He woke up and had to go.
20 watt light bulb shining on this bathhouse, which was 2 miles away from our tent. And you crawl out of a tent in the middle of the night with a very uncomfortable feeling in your belly.
It was a new moon, so there were no stars.
Oh boy.
No light.
Just that one.
You
Just
have
that
that-
one shining
you have
beam of the bathroom.
the North Star of the campground up there on the corner of that bathhouse that you feel your way through the tents and the cars, up the dirt road, around the curve,
Yeah.
up 30 flights of stairs.
Just a slight exaggeration.
And if you've ever been in the position where you knew that bad things were getting ready to happen, a flight of stairs is not what you want to encounter. And so by the time I got to the flight of stairs, the shorts and the underwear
out.
were
Oh,
gone
my God.
Yeah.
in the trash can.
Yeah.
Well, at least the shorts or the underwear. And then
That's not even the best
This is
part
the
of the
funny
story.
part.
Oh,
That's not even
it
the
gets
best
better
part.
than that.
finally, after 30 or 40 minutes of relief
In that bright bathroom,
and
Mhm.
personal hygiene,
cleaning up.
after that,
Yeah.
it was time to make my way back to the tent. So I exited that bathroom.
Now, you didn't have any clothes on at this point.
Well,
No, he
no,
did.
I
Oh,
got,
okay.
the shorts I
Mhm.
salvaged.
Okay.
Yeah. And I started the trek back to
He didn't start it. He opened the door.
The great abyss.
It was like
Yeah.
blackness.
And it was as if going into
Blackness.
the darkest realms of the universe, trying to find one tiny little
He
star.
was touching tents and cars.
You didn't know which tent was yours?
Oh, no.
You couldn't see a tent.
It was
Oh, my gosh.
black.
It was pitch black, and it was by that time it was 4 miles away instead of 2 miles away.
Hey.
And I struggled almost on my hands and knees to come across something that felt familiar
Yeah.
from someone who's never had a seam problem, but yet trying to figure out, is that the shape of our tent? No telling how many people thought that bears or people had
Probably. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And after what seemed like about 4 or 5 hours, I found our tent. And
Well, you said you weren't sure, and he was afraid he was going to crawl in and
It,
get
well,
slapped by
Yeah.
some other woman.
Yes.
well,
Oh, it was funny.
so
So
That
what
was
year?
crazy.
What year was this?
oh god,
1995.
So-
You
many years before the Airstream.
Yes.
well, I
Yes,
was,
but
we wouldn't have had the problem in an Airstream.
That's right.
Nobody would have been there.
that's what
Tiny would have been there.
And no steps.
But hold on. In 1995, right?
Around.
Weren't there flashlights in 95?
Oh, this was an emergency.
and immerse.
I had to get out of that tent so
Yeah.
fast. I wasn't even about to try to find a flashlight. I was.
And there were no cell phones with.
The thing that I was going to say about that is that story compared to what we're doing tonight, we're in the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes,
we
we're
are.
glamping.
Think
We
about
are.
that.
We are.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true.
Wow.
So,
We
Wow.
are.
So while
That's a-
you were
that's-
having all this epic situation going on,
right.
Robin, Winnie, what were you guys doing?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Sleeping.
We sleep.
And I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wake them up because they were all young, and
Yeah.
I was afraid if I woke them up, they don't was even if I'd found a flashlight, I was scared to death.
So he was
And they'd
suffering
be up
by
the rest of the
himself.
night. So I
But when he
crawled
got
out.
back,
Suffered alone.
when he got back into the sleeping bag, he did. He let me know it was a scary situation.
No.
This day is our favorite story.
No, so we have fireside stories.
That is the one.
If anybody new is
Yes.
with us, poor Roger had to
Yeah.
be humiliated.
Do you
It's
think-
so good.
you
It's
know,
so good.
I hope that this podcast and this story does not affect Roger's presidency next year in the Carolinas Airstream Club.
Hopefully, it will just show my resilience and
Yes.
determination to find a solution to the problem.
I agree. That's
I like that.
a great way to talk about that. Yeah. Let's chat about that for a minute. So you guys got your Airstream, you dove into the community, you thought it'd be awesome to hold a rally in Shelby 4 years ago. What caused you to volunteer for leadership?
Yeah. Dad. What?
There was no volunteering
Yeah.
to it.
If you know Ray,
I
Oh,
was
you were
approached.
forced.
Just voluntold.
Voluntold.
Someone in the club approached me and asked if I'd be willing to serve
Mhm.
on a position on the board. And over the course of my professional career, I had been involved in a number of not-for-profits and organizations, so I knew what that entailed. And
Yeah.
so I was glad to try to help because
That's
I believed in what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then it somehow sort of evolved and beyond this
Yeah.
other board member and was asked to serve in this position.
Yeah.
And,
That's good.
I looked around at the time of all the past presidents and I knew that the same thing. And a lot of the not-for-profits I've been involved with, a lot of times the problem is finding someone who is willing
Mhm.
to give their time, and oftentimes multiple people are asked, and it's like pulling teeth finding somebody who's willing to take essentially a volunteer position that has a certain amount of responsibility. But
Yeah.
again, by that point, I believed in the Airstream community, and I believed in the Carolinas Airstream Club, seeing the history, which, as you are familiar with, both of you, the club is celebrating its 65th anniversary this year, which is pretty incredible for
Yeah.
an organization like this.
I agree.
So, all things considered, I thought, well, I can do it, and it's not going to be that long. It'll take about 3 years to get through the rotation, and then somebody else be lined up to step in and take over
Yeah.
after that.
and I think we believe that if you're part of a organization that you want to be a part of and willingly believe it, you willingly are a part of it and you believe in it, then it's your responsibility to have some of the responsibility.
Yeah,
sure.
It's not fair to let somebody always do the work, but as in most things, when you're doing the work, you gain so much.
Yep.
It's easy for me to say it.
No, but it's true. And
Well, it's a team effort.
It is.
It's a team
no,
effort.
there's no question.
And he would never have accepted without saying,
Yeah.
Right.
will you support this and help me?
And we've actually had that discussion that I think at some point I could see a value instead of having a single,
Yes.
president, first vice president, almost a team approach.
And it wouldn't have to be
couples,
husband.
because-
It wouldn't have to be a husband and wife.
No, but there's quite a bit involved, and it takes a lot of cooperation and working together. For example, last year we were planning all the rallies for this year. Robin did every bit as much of that as I did. We worked together and batted ideas back and forth, but it was definitely a team effort to arrange everything for this year.
That's good. Pivot a second and just ask a question, like, as a family, do you guys talk around the dinner table or like outside of Airstream events? Like,
Well,
what's your Airstream life like from a family perspective? Like, do you guys, Winnie or either one, like,
she's an instigator. This little one.
In what capacity?
Well, Winnie's
A
talking
fun
about
capacity.
camping. A lot of times, she will initiate.
She's the first one to say,
And she'll
let's
say-
go.
She'll
Oh,
say,
like a trip.
"Yeah." She'll say, "Mom, your birthday's coming up. Y'all want me to try to get everybody to go
Yeah.
camping?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sure." Or she'll say, we hadn't been camping in a while. Are y'all free to join us? And of course, they take their separate trips, just them, and we do ours.
Yeah.
But she's always, and Annie too. Annie, our middle child, loves to camp. She doesn't have her own camper, but she will either come with us, or if her husband can't come, or they'll get one of the cozy cabins if there's one.
Yeah.
Our oldest daughter and her children have a camper, and they'll join. So she's good especially about trying to get us all together. And if not everybody can, us, because we're the biggest of the campers, I would say. But just because of the time element and so forth.
but you still have, from a family perspective, this commonality of the passion for Airstream, which is cool.
Well, at this point, mainly Winnie and her husband and us, specifically regarding Airstreams. But I'd say the love of camping probably is an umbrella that's strong among all of
Right.
everybody. And
I think one of our goals, I know mine, our goal was to have our children have a love of nature and to respect the world and the earth, and by example, and camping and being out in nature is so important. And to us, I'm so thankful it appears to have rubbed off. They all love to be outside, and that to me is, these are wonderful. They make it so much fun to have an Airstream, and it makes it so much easier to come and go. But the reason I wanted one of these forever was not because, oh, that's big and shiny, I want that. It was, I can go on adventure trips and see the world. And have my playhouse with me.
Oh, I like that.
To me, it's the nest. It is a nest. I've always cozied up. All the girls love to cozy up. Even Roger likes to cozy up. So
He's not a blanket man.
no, he's not a blanket man like the rest of us.
I think one thing that comes to mind when we're talking about, and again, it's more specific to camping, not necessarily Airstreams, but the impact that it can have on a family is we went camping a lot when the kids were little over to Kings Mountain State Park, which is for us only about
a whole summer, every weekend.
35 minutes away. So very close. We could drop the hat. We could go over there.
And we did.
Our oldest daughter, it was her 16th birthday, and she was very involved in sports and had a lot of friends in high school. She was active, just like when you were too. And she loved her high school life. And so we said, okay, it's your 16th birthday. What would you like to do? Would you like to go somewhere to go eat, or you want to go with somewhere with your friends? We'll do whatever you want to for your birthday. And it was, this is going to be on a Friday in October. And she said, I really want to go to the football game. I said, yeah, that makes sense. But can we go camping?
Oh.
Can we go camping after that?
Yeah. That's great.
And we looked at each other and said, yeah, really? And so, yeah, so I took the camper over there early and went back. She went to the football game, got her after the football game, and we went and spent the weekend at Kings Mountain State Park camping. And we both talked about that, said, can you believe, got a 16-year-old and, their choice for their 16th birthday was to go camping with her, stupid parents and her little sisters.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It's making me well up.
Well,
so I got to ask two things more, and then we'll start wrapping up. But Roger, give us it's the last night. We're all breaking camp tomorrow. We're leaving. I know you still got a little bit of stuff to be responsible for and be concerned about and that kind of stuff. But just share with us, how you feel, after this weekend's over. I'm sure you're bound to feel proud, but just tell us how are you feeling right now on Saturday night at almost 11 o'clock, the last night of the Shining in Shelby?
Tired. No, it's I'm a worrier by nature, and I worry mainly that people aren't happy. That's and then I worry that things aren't going to work right. And so we're to the point now where I'm sort of past the point of really anything going terribly wrong. So, it's a big relief. And the sense that I've gotten talking to people, my sense is that everybody seems to have enjoyed it, and there haven't been too many disappointments. So, it's satisfying to think that you made it through an event like this without any major hiccups. We won't even go into what bullet we dodged on Thursday.
Absolutely.
With the storms that were here. I told somebody when I started looking at it, probably a little over $2 million worth of aluminum that could have been totaled if a storm had taken a different path.
That could have been ugly.
Yeah. So that anyway, that was not a pleasant evening for me leading up to it because I was worrying about it. But so it's nice to see everything sort of work like it's supposed to, and mainly to see that folks are smiling and not shaking their head like, what a waste.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know that for us, having known you for the short amount of time we have, but just knowing what you've done for the club so far, and then now finally getting to experience this rally and seeing everybody, how they've interacted, how it's gone down, how it's been executed. I think you've done a wonderful job, and I'm sure everybody else here feels the same way. And we just can't give you as many accolades as we can, but it was just job well done. You did wonderful. All of you did.
Well, I was going to say
all three of you.
It is a joint effort.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be here if it were not for Winnie.
Right. Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
She works hard in a regular job.
Take a lot of credit.
Can't do some of the things, but she did a lot.
It goes back to that instigator thing.
Yes, and ideas are a big thing.
They are. Yeah. They are.
And I think all of you did a wonderful job, and I think that you had your finger on the pulse of what needed to be done because it's your town and your rally, and it was wonderful. We had a blast. Yeah, good job.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Now we got to talk about one other final thing, and that was what we just experienced tonight. So give us just a little 1-minute infomercial on Newgrass Brewing Company. Just tell us, it's infomercial's not the right word, but just tell our listeners about that and that part of your life, and just talk about that for a minute.
Well,
he can't do it in a minute.
I'll try to be brief. My professional career for 41 years as an architect, but in 2014, some of us were talking about at the time what Shelby needed. Here again, we were looking at what would make Shelby a better place and what would make people want to come here. At that time in 14, there were no craft breweries between Charlotte and Asheville. It's just hard to believe now with all the craft breweries there. So we had maybe a somewhat ill-advised discussion about opening a craft brewery in Shelby. And
when at this time, Dad was still drinking Bud Select 55.
Oh,
so I was not a craft.
She's telling your secret.
I was not a craft beer person necessarily. It was more for me and for us. It wasn't about beer. It was about economic development for our community. It goes back to the same reason.
And bringing young people back.
Yeah, do something to make it a more attractive place. At that point, we had 2 of our 3 girls back, but one stubborn one sitting over there was still in Raleigh.
With lots of craft beer.
I moved back when you opened.
I know.
I had all the testers and tasters.
I wonder if that's why she
I bet.
I gained about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So anyway, in 2015, we opened the brewery, and I was still working full time, and I had to start from scratch, finding brewers and somebody run front of house, all that kind of stuff. And so it's made several transformations over the years, but we've never shut the doors. And our current brewer, who's been there probably about 7 years now.
He's been there a while.
Yeah, he's been there a long time. Is
great,
incredible brewer. And for any of the beer nerds out there,
our Untapped rating.
If you want to go to Untapped, which is a beer rating system, and you look up the Untapped rating for Newgrass Brewing Company, it's currently at 4.03, if I'm not mistaken, which is probably one of the top 5 in the state of North Carolina.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
And I hate to name some of the names, so I won't, but some of the more familiar names you've heard of in Asheville and Charlotte, our Untapped rating is much better than theirs, which is just a representation that our guys doing a good job with beer. So, and then part of that is having a space in Shelby where people can go and spend time. We knew in our demographics, we needed to have food, unlike a lot of breweries in more urban areas where you've got the population to support just a tap room. So we have a very small kitchen.
Farm to table menu.
But a farm to table menu. We're locally sourcing as many ingredients as we can. And we've got an excellent crew now that's serving. We're open 6 days a week, closed on Mondays. I'm proud of what they're doing, and I'm also proud of how they've hung in there with under some difficult times.
Yeah,
and
they want to give to the community.
They understand our vision that it's not just about taking home a paycheck; it's about making a difference in our community, and they buy into that. So.
Well, I just have to say that Gina and I have been to a good number of Airstream rallies. And we're vegetarians for the most part, and we're fairly picky about what we want to eat. And here's why: because we've gone to a lot of rallies where it's like potlucks and people bring their own food, and like you don't know what's coming out of somebody's trailer, and like so we pay the rally fee and we have a good time, but we do our own thing for food, right? Okay, but listener, I want you to listen to this. Tonight, on the last night of Shining in Shelby, Roger and Robin and his family and Newgrass Brewing Company, they fed us honey butter cornbread. They fed us a beautiful salad with tomatoes, cucumbers, Parmesan cheese, croutons, dressings, fried green tomatoes with pimento cheese. They fed us a fried shrimp and grit cake with Creole sauce. They fed us chicken with brown rice and almonds, honey glaze, southern sweet potato quinoa with roasted sweet potatoes, tiramisu, banana pudding. And I'm telling you, the bar has been raised so high.
Yes.
that we can never go to another rally ever again unless they do something better than this. No, tonight was so awesome. And for us, for Gina and I, we appreciate it so much.
Absolutely.
Because we struggle sometimes with the food at rallies. And it doesn't matter whether it's an Airstream rally or just an RV rally in general. To do what you guys did tonight at this final evening.
Well, it gave us a chance to participate in that, because a lot of times we don't get to.
It did. And man, it was
spot on. Thank
very,
you guys.
very good. So
kudos.
Very, very well done. And to cap off a wonderful evening and wonderful, wonderful beer, wonderful libations, and just
wonderful people.
Wonderful people. Great night. And just to wrap up, I just say that job well done. We're so happy we came, and I think
we speak for a lot of people who are here that they feel the same way.
Yeah, and for anybody that's listening to this podcast that has never been to this rally, I mean, Roger, hell, you might need to close the streets down and have 100 rigs next year.
Let's do another block.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm telling you.
I don't know if Roger could. Somebody.
But either way, someone coming to North Carolina can certainly come to Uptown Shelby.
Yeah.
And check out this town and the brewing company, because it's beautiful.
Well, we can't thank y'all enough for coming on our podcast. We've looked forward to it, and I hope that you sleep well tonight and feel good about the job that you've done to pull off an amazing rally. And we can't wait to do it again, and we can't wait to see you guys down the road.
Well, we can't say how much we appreciate you guys, as well as the others who are taking a valuable weekend out of their life to come spend some time here and spend some money here and support the community. So it means a lot. It goes both ways. We appreciate you guys very much.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Well, we'll see you down the road, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks. You're welcome. Thank you.
That was a lot of fun tonight.
It really was.
That was really good. I'm super cool family.
They're great.
Yeah. But man, I'm glad they're gone. I got to go to bed.
It is pretty late.
I know. Put your pajamas on, baby.
Now, you know I don't wear pajamas.
Woo. That's what I'm talking about. See you next time, everybody. It's time to go to bed.
Come on, baby. Let's go.
Yes, right now. I'm on the way. Here I come.